On this next part of my series on constructing measures, we're going to be talking about item design. So, item design, as I introduced previously, has really been about how do we relate items to constructs and how do we provide evidence that our items are really appropriate for the measurement task that we are laying out. So, really, in most general sense, an item is a way of creating an observation, is an observation. And how do we obtain an observation about individuals? It varies depending on the task at hand. And observation might be as simple and straightforward as asking a yes or no question, like, are you happy or not? It could be as complex as write me an essay that describes your opinion about why sharks are the best. I mean, that would be an amazing essay to write, but that's just me. And then we have items and observations that may not even be written or be able to put down on paper. You can have behavioral assessment. A behavior, you can construct items based on behavioral observation. And how we construct and design items depends on the purpose of our assessment. So, one of the number one things to keep in mind when designing items is purpose. The next major piece we want to keep in our back of our mind or even in the front of our mind when developing items is like, what is our construct? And these two kind of go hand in hand. We kind of want to go back and forth between what is the purpose and what is our construct, and what is our conceptual definition for our construct, and how does that relate to our purpose of obtaining observations via a set of items to help us with our measurement task. And this is one of the kind of interesting parts of developing items and of developing assessments of, well, how do we kind of think of what do the items help us reveal about the respondents, or like, this is a better way of putting it, how does the item reveal thinking about how does the item reveal a particular type of information or a set of uh, information about our respondent. It's really important to think about how does our response relate to the information we care about. And that's one of the major themes that I'll be talking about this week in terms of item design, is that relationship between item and item responses and the construct that we care about. That was what was so important about developing a strong construct map, is it helps us kind of make these elaborations and make these conceptual definitions connected to items and item responses. And now what we're diving into is the specific ideas and the information we want to try to collect and gather to provide evidence for the items and item responses. And there are whole different types of items that we can uh, try to develop or think about in terms of our what types of items, and that's what we'll talk about tomorrow, is types of items. Is types. Item. Item types. There's so many item types that it really helps us, again, relate back to this purpose and what is our construct and definition. These really are go hand in hand with purpose. Because as I mentioned, there are different types of observations, different types of items, and they help us get at the construct and information we care about in slightly different ways. And that is what I really hope to emphasize when talking about item design in more detail is, well, what does the item reveal about our construct?